Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how we are now officially in a buyer's market. It is no longer a seller's market when it comes to the car world. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So the overall car market, the new side of things and the used side of things, is still currently transitioning. Like, the car market is still in a little bit of flux. Things are changing on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. But there are some general trends that have kind of popped out, and one of those trends is the fact that the market has been shifting from being a seller's market to a buyer's market. And I will say that after the last couple of months, we are now officially in a buyer's market. It is no longer a seller's market, and the data backs this up. So first off, the industry average of new car supply, so the amount of days that it would take to settle all of the inventory here in the US, is closing in on 60 days. And on top of that, you have several automakers that their day supply number is well over 100 days. I mean, Jeep, for example, their day supply number is like 155 days, right? It would take Jeep 155 days to sell out of all their inventory at their given sales pace. And so with this continued increase in day supply number, and with the day supply number, getting close to that 60-day range, just shows that, again, there is more inventory and there are fewer buyers, which means that it's more of a buyer's market. On top of that, the average customer that goes in and buys a car today pays below MSRP, not above MSRP, not MSRP, but below MSRP. This is another indication that, again, there is more supply and there is less demand. But the thing that I think that really shows what's happening in the market is the fact that vehicles that are considered more quote-unquote rare and desirable are starting to see big discounts as well. It's one thing for like a valuation vehicle, right? Something that is mass produced, that's really easy to get access to have a big discount. It's a completely different thing for a rare vehicle that's not mass produced to have some level of discount or not have a markup on. And this is what I'm starting to see. So with cars that are, new releases that everyone's hyped up about, or cars that are just really hard to get, they usually have markups on them, I'm seeing these cars still marked up at dealers, but they're not selling. Like, the dealers will get the cars in and they'll be like, yep, we're asking this amount over MSRP, and then the car just sits and it doesn't sell. And these are cars that just a few months ago, or even a month ago, were just boom, gone right off the lot. That is not happening anymore. And so what these dealers are ultimately having to do is play one of two games. They can play the game of, we'll just keep it at this price and we'll just wait for someone to come in and buy it, and it messes up their allocation because their turn rate, if you don't know what turn rate is, this is the rate at which a dealership sells the inventory that they get from the manufacturer, and the slower that a slower turn rate a dealership has, the lower their allocation is. And so they're like, okay, yep, we will basically forego having a better turn rate by making more profit on this car, right? That's kind of like the mentality with the dealerships. And so you've got some dealers that are doing that, and you have other dealers that are like, yep, we're just not going to do this anymore, and then discount, right? And so I'm seeing more and more of these cars going for MSRP, and I've even seen some of these, rare, hard to get cars go for under MSRP because of where a dealership's located. They just can't find anyone within their market, or even, when they advertise outside of the market, to pay the money, the MSRP for this car, and so they have to discount it under MSRP. And so again, this is just another indication that we are in a buyer's market and not a seller's market, because these dealerships are having to work really hard to get these customers in. The customers aren't just going into dealers anymore. And that's something else that I quickly want to talk about. During the pandemic, dealerships didn't really have to advertise or do all that much to get customers to come to their store, because it's like, if you have a car, someone's going to show up and buy it, because cars were so unavailable. But now, because availability is becoming much and much better every single month, dealerships are now in a position where they were basically like prior to the pandemic, where they have to do a ton of advertising and their staff has to work really hard to convince people to go to their store instead of another store, because it's like, oh, everyone has this vehicle and everyone has 5 of them, right? So it's like, why would you buy from one store over another? And it comes down to price. And then obviously customer experience is also very important for a lot of people. And so again, since the power dynamic is now in the hands of the customers instead of the dealers, right? Because it's the people choosing what dealership they buy from, not them going and buying from a dealer because the dealer is the only one with that car. Again, buyer's market. Now, I could list off a bajillion other reasons as to why we are now in a buyer's market, but I think that this is a really good turning point for the overall car industry, because although some dealers might see this as a negative thing because they're not going to be able to make as much profit on each car and they're going to have to do more work to put together car deals, I think that this is just the best thing for the overall health of the car market, because what this is going to lead to is a bigger focus on volume rather than trying to make as much money on each car as possible, which means that customers are going to get better deals on cars, which means they're not going to be as upside down in their vehicle when they go to trade it in, because they're not paying these huge markups over MSRP, which means that people are going to be able to trade in their cars more often, which in turn means that dealers are going to sell more cars, more profit, all that kind of stuff. So I think that the market that we're going into, ultimately, although it's going to lead to dealers having to work a lot more to get car deals and they're not going to make as much per car deal, they're going to be selling more cars, and it's just going to be a better, healthier business all around. And then the dealership customer relationship, it's going to be a lot better, because like when someone comes in and pays 5, 10, 15,000 over MSRP for a car, that's not really a relationship. That person's just doing it because they feel like they have to. But if someone comes in and they're paying MSRP on something that's really hard to get, or they're paying, significantly under MSRP in some cases, then like that's a much better feeling for a consumer. And so they're not only more likely to go back and buy another car from that dealership, but they're just going to feel better about their overall car purchase. Again, I feel like it's good for the overall car market. And so it'll be interesting to see how things unfold. And I do want to make some other videos kind of about this topic, because I have been seeing some other interesting trends. But that's going to close things off for today's video. I'll see you.